Yo.
What up, though?
I got to talk. I gotta tell what I feel. I gotta talk about my life as I see it.
All right then. It's time for you to bring it to the table.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it.
Street Beat
with Tony B.
For the next hour, Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat. Street Beat. Tony.
Welcome to Street Beat. It's me, your host, Tony B. You see this shameless plug for Rainier Avenue Radio? All right, there we go. Thanks, everyone, for joining us again for the Best Starts for Kids virtual summit. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you've missed some amazing panel discussions and gallery walks. A little later at about 9:30, Reggie, and Jessica are going to give you an update on some of the things that you've missed, but it's just been incredible. And thank you for everyone joining from literally all around the state. Communities building impact. That's what this summit is all about. If you're participating in the challenge, I'll give you a heads up. We have two guests on this morning. You want to earn your 50 points. You'll be able to do that. Our first guest joining us here very shortly will be Lydia Faitalia, who will be telling us why she's engaged and involved with Best Starts for Kids. But it's just exciting to be here again and talk about everything that's going on. Now, this is through the Hoover virtual event platform, so you can access Hoover through their app, and you can get everything done through Hoover. You're able to build your own Best Starts for Kids Summit agenda for the week. So there's still today, and then there's Thursday, and then there's Friday. You just select and register for the events that you want to attend, and then you can engage via the Hoover mobile app and log on via the website. And no need to download anything if you don't feel like doing that. Again, we have another guest joining us at 9:15, but I know some of you are like, hey, I'm attending everything, and you're keeping track. And so our first guest will be joining us very shortly, so you can know exactly who that is, so you can get your 50 points. A couple of things I want to talk about before we get started. Speaking of Best Starts for Kids, the youth of Best Starts for Kids, the SOAR Project, created an amazing radio show called Unmasking Youth Voices. It's airing tonight at 6 o'clock on Rainier Avenue Radio. You can either hear it, watch it actually, on our Facebook page at 6 o'clock, or you can hear it through our audio streaming, which you can do by downloading our Rainier Avenue Radio app if you don't already have that. You can listen through the TuneIn app, or you can just go to our website at Rainieravenueradio.world, and you can listen there. You can even ask Alexa, and Alexa will put you straight through to it. It's Unmasking Youth Voices. This is something that was created by youth for Best Starts for Kids. They talk about the impact of the coronavirus. They talk about what it's like to be mixed race during all of this. And they also play some of their favorite music. So 6 o'clock tonight, Unmasking Youth Voices. Definitely check that out. You don't want to miss it. And if you've been enjoying this, you're going to be just astonished to hear the reflections of these youth and how these last few months have impacted them. Another thing, if you're in the South Seattle neighborhood, Seattle Parks and Recreation and Seattle Department of Transportation, they need your community input for the final design of the North Rainier Land Bank Park. You didn't know there was a park that was going to be placed in North Rainier? Yes, if you're familiar with where the Silver Fork used to be, that's a while. It's like right across from there, right across from Safeway. And they need your input and your opportunity to decide what you want the textiles, the artwork to look like. So it's between 34th and 35th on Charleston, and between 11 and 3 today, you can go down to Safeway and give your input on that particular project. Make sure you do that. There's a park that's going on right there, and you should be aware of the impact that, that it's having on our community, and you get a say so. We are broadcasting live now, again, virtual summit, Best Starts for Kids. Happy to be here. Again, a little bit later, 9:30, Jessica and Reginald are going to be here to share information with you. They are your hosts for this event, so you want to stay tuned and catch that. But again, right now, joining me on the program, Best Starts for Kids champion and a community champion, Lydia Phi Talia from United Indians of All Tribes Foundation. Lydia, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you doing, Tony? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great, and I got that extra boost of energy from you. So I think this morning I was at like about an 8.5 out of 10, and now I'm up to 9. I'm fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, we got to get you to 100, Tony. We got to get you to 100.
Well, we're in the midst now of this virtual summit that was supposed to take place originally back in March. It's going on now. Lydia, let's get started first of all by getting some background information on you, who you are, what you do, and then also United Indians for All Tribes Foundation, and we'll take it from there. But let's get started with that first.
Yeah. Good morning and talofa malo opito to our community. My name is Lydia Moira Faitalia. I am indigenous to the South Pacific. I am Samoan and Tongan. Moved here from California about 3 years ago. I currently am a program manager for the United Indians of All Tribes Foundation. A little background about United Indians of All Tribes. It was birthed out of the social justice movement back in the 1970s with our founder, Bernie Whitebear, Larry Gossett, Bob Maestas, and Santos. And so that's a little bit of a background. And we currently serve BIPOC communities, specifically our indigenous population, Native Americans, and our Pacific Islanders.
Shout out to the Four Amigos.
Yes. I will honor them forever.
I can definitely dig that. And so, again, a little bit more about United Indians for All Tribes Foundation. What are some of the things that you do and how you work within your communities?
Okay. So United Indians of All Tribes Foundation has 12 programs. They're wraparound programs. So we do a lot of social service programs, and lately we've had to shift onto online telephone check-ins and social distance consultations. We have a veterans program, an elders program. My program is specifically Birth to 5. We have a homeless prevention program, as well as a kiosk at the airport that sells a lot of our indigenous artists jewelry and all of that stuff. So if you're down by Seattle Airport, please check out our kiosk. The latest project is we partnered with the King County Office of Equity and Social Justice Coalition Against Hate and Bias. We are leading in that work along with our other organizations. And so we do a lot. We do a lot of advocacy. We have a preschool, Tony. It just depends. We can sit here and unpack United Indians all day. Well, so much good work, so much hard work.
Well, we do know that this is a virtual summit, as I mentioned before. And because of this pandemic, we also know that our indigenous friends have been impacted disproportionately by things that have been taking place. Can you just kind of give us an update of what that's, just really quickly, how this pandemic has impacted our indigenous friends and how that's changed the way that you do the work that you do, especially in these times and when folks, again, are in potentially greater need than they have been?
Yes, Tony. That's a great question. A lot of people ask how my work has been shifted, but first I'd like to honor and acknowledge the First Nations people of this land. It's something I should have opened up with. We are on Native land, and something that our history books and these systems that continue to educate our children and some of us that are here is that it doesn't tell the full history of our BIPOC communities. And so when we talk about working in First Nations communities, we also have to acknowledge the colonization that has impacted and caused our communities to be furthest away from opportunity. Our indigenous people, depending on their status, if they're sovereign, if they're recognized by the federal government, all of these impacts that keeps pushing away our First Nations people from furthest away from opportunity. And so how it has shifted and framed my work as a Pacific Islander and Indigenous person is recognizing my positionality first in this land, recognizing where my people stand within my people stand. And so when I frame it, I always center the voice of our First Nations, because I do believe wholeheartedly in the history of the First Nations and what has happened. So a lot of that has to do with unpacking and decolonizing the framework that has been handed to us to follow by Western ideology. But something we stay true to at United Indians is we get the community input, our elders' input. Our Indigenous folks always put our elder and our children first, right? Because they are the continuation of this work. And something that when COVID hit, it just highlighted. It's not new. All of these disparities that people are saying, oh wow, look at what is happening in the native spaces in these indigenous communities. It's not new. It just highlighted what has been going on for a long time since colonization. And something that we are working on is we're coming from a vision and a place of thriving. Our communities are thriving, our communities are healing, and how we're doing that is we created a program with Vera in traditional medicine. We've also teamed up with our local BIPOC organizations that are probably on this call to talk about healing and what does that look like as a community. Using a language of bridging, a language of learning and love is how we are able to move this work for our future generations, Tony.
Well, again, thank you for that wonderful explanation. You have a panel going on tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I
do.
All right.
We're almost at max capacity. Sorry, family all over the world. You have to register for the summit. We're not Roman PI style.
Well, Lydia, I did say folks listening around the community and around the entire state.
Yes.
And that's what's really going on. And I can't say this enough. This Best Starts for Kids virtual summit, I'm going to give a shout out one more again to Carrie
Yes.
Wade. It's turning out to be phenomenal. The interactivity, the way it's being done, the way it's produced, and the information that's available. So let's talk about share a little information of what folks are going to find out tomorrow from your discussion and when it's taking place, what time. And I know that you said it's almost, but if there's a couple spaces left, look, you better get in there now.
Lots of good energy. I present tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The link is attached to the Whova app, and I can send it. I'll promote it some more on the Whova app. Listeners who are interested. My topic is called, Are You Indigenizing or Decolonizing? And it's going to be a framework. It's going to be very organic. It's going to be a place of alofa, a place of love, right? And to unpack what does that look like and how do we move forward together as a community and how do we all work together? So this workshop tomorrow, you don't want to miss it. It's from 10 to 11:30. It's going to talk about Indigenous and civil rights. How does that play a role in the identities of those who we serve? And just it's going to be conversational. It's going to be very, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, all right.
And shout out to Juliet Escobar, Tony. Thank you, Juliet.
And really quickly, we're Wednesday now. We're right smack dab in the middle of this. Give us your perspective on what's happened so far for you and participating in this and what you've seen. And again, as you've mentioned before, you're almost packed to the limit. What's been your perspective on the virtual summit so far?
It's been amazing. It's been supportive. Thank you, Carrie Wade, for keeping us in the loop. What I've seen, we got to watch Constantine talk yesterday. We see some power players, some key players in the community, leaders, but also our children and our families that are logging in. And what I'm seeing is the shift of BSK's work, right? And trying to capture the lived experiences of our communities and families and centering it. But also the other part of it, what I love about this work is what you start to see is a lot of people starting to get in contact with each other and exchanging contacts, right? And relational. We are relational people here at United Nations, but we're also relational people, BIPOC community. So it's very organic for us to reach out to others we haven't met. So you see this shift in this work, and it's so beautiful. How do we thrive together now, coming together? So that's what I've seen so far, Tony.
Again, you're listening to Street Beat. It's me, your host, Tony B, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. My guest, Lydia Talia. A couple things again, this goes so fast. We have so much that we can talk about. So I'm going to put these two in one. First, tell me what you're looking forward to as we move into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If there's something in particular that you really want to check out, not your session, we know about that one, but another session you're interested in. And then I want to give you the opportunity for final words here before we go. So those two things, Lydia, if you wouldn't mind addressing.
Yes, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Rainier Avenue Radio Station. Our gratitude from United Indians of All Tribes Foundation for hosting us and creating this space to talk about our programs. I just wanted to leave the final thought that we are all in this together, and we look forward to thriving together. And check us out at www.unitedindians.org. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you. And also joining us on the program, again, if you're taking the community challenge, and you're monitoring the guests so you can get your points at the end. Well, now we're going to tell you our very next, another, Best Starts for Kids champion, Hikma Shirka. And Hikma, am I saying your name correctly?
You are. It's Hikma Shirka.
Hikma Shirka. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay. From 0 to 10, what's your energy level this morning?
My energy level, it's at a good 6 right now.
It's a 6? Okay. We're going to try to get that up to an 8. All right. Let's try to get that up to an 8. And I think that one way that we can do that to get started is let's hear first a little bit about you and then, again, the Youth Advisory Board.
Okay, so again, my name is Hikma Shirka. I am 23 years old. I went to school to become a lawyer, and then I didn't go to law school yet, but in my undergrad, I wanted to study law, and then decided that it felt like too late in the game to make changes, so I decided to do policy work. So for the past 2-3 years, I've been doing a lot of public policy work, and a lot of early prevention promotion work, which is what Best Starts for Kids is about. So about 3 years ago, I was connected to a program that I was a part of. It's a youth-led program called the King County Youth Advisory Council. And they connected me to Best Starts for Kids when they were developing the youth development grant. And through that, I got connected to the board when they got mandated to have young people on the board. So I think this was 2017, I believe. I was one of the first young people to be on the King County Children Youth Advisory Board, which is the board that does advising for all things children and youth, specifically the Best Starts for Kids levy and grant. So yeah, it's been a very interesting experience for the past 3 years, a difficult one, which is why I guess I'm in this still, and one of the reasons why we're putting together a workshop tomorrow about engaging young people. So yeah, a lot of my work has been about how to engage young people in policy work and decision making authentically. And the board is one that I've seen evolve in that. So I think that really shaped my interest in engaging young people in especially decision making. And then as of, I think 2 months ago, I'm now the co-chair of the board.
All right. Did you, Hikma, did you hear the Unmasking Youth Voices radio program that those youth put together?
Yeah, I was actually part of the group that put together the ambassadors, the social media ambassadors. They're amazing.
Wasn't it amazing and phenomenal? I'm pumping it up
Amazing.
again, but at
Yeah.
6 o'clock, it airs tonight. Check it out. I mean, the work that you're doing with youth, just incredible. Again, this is the Best Starts for Kids Summit. The theme is communities building impact, and we're just excited to be here with the Best Starts partners for networking, which is something you're going to be doing, peer-to-peer learning. You've got a summit coming up as well. And again, through the Hoover Virtual Conference platform, you'll be able to you can build your own Best Starts for Kids Summit agenda for what's going on this week. Select and register the events that you want to attend, and just check some of the things out that are going here. Now, there's also a networking event that's going on a little later this afternoon that you're participating in. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and it's one thing that I'm really looking forward to, because I think with the virtual summits, which I've been a part of a few, but I think it's been difficult to do the networking part of a lot of conferences that we do virtually. So we are hosting a virtual speed network today, I think at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to create space for people to still get that time to connect and network with others at this virtual conference.
Okay, and what is again, doing this virtually, let's talk about the power of networking and the benefit that adds to, I guess, the work that everyone does, or does it? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think for the first couple of months, it was really difficult to still continue to do this work, because a lot of our work is very relations based, people's based. So it's very much about relationships. And I think we had to, and we're still learning to build relationships virtually and what that looks like. And we failed at doing it, and we've also succeeded in certain areas. So we're trying to take what works and what hasn't been working, and trying to implement it, especially today, to see how we can create space for that. Because I think once we transitioned to the virtual world, we didn't really think about what do we still need to do to continue to have connections. We were just like, let's get work done for a while, and then that got draining. So we're trying to reincorporate that relations part of our work.
Okay, and so the title is Learn How to Find Relevant Data and How to Use That Data to Help Tell a Powerful Story. I think that one of the things that often gets lost is the power of storytelling and just the communication and how important and relevant that is. What grab a glass of lemonade of your favorite refreshing beverage and come Zoom with us for Best Starts of Kids Speed Networking event. Jump in and jump out and move on to the next person. You'll get 5 minutes to exchange information. Okay, Hikma, how do you do that? How do you engage with somebody over the virtually for 5 minutes? What should folks be prepared to do to start right away, take advantage of that 5 minutes and get to know people?
I think you have to do what you would do in person. It's just over the screen. So we have some questions to break the ice and to get people to exchange contact information and things like that. But I think it's the same. We're just a little in our heads about what meeting virtually looks like.
Mm-hmm. And again, I want to talk some more about the Youth Advisory Board. What are some of what is, I guess you would say, the mission, the vision, the goals, and talk about the work that's been done so far.
Yeah. So the Children and Youth Advisory Board was created after the Youth Action, after the Best Starts for Kids levy had passed. So the Youth Action Plan had mandated for there to be an advisory board that would hold the county accountable to the things that they said they would do, especially around Best Starts for Kids, but anything around children and youth. So a lot of our work had been, so we get like presentations about where the money is going for Best Starts for Kids, the impact in community, how we're decolonizing data, or whatever, all the things that we said we would do with Best Starts for Kids. And our job at the board is to make sure that those things are actually happening. And then if there is a way for us to improve those, what would it be? One of my favorite things that we have been a part of in the past couple of years that I've been on the board is we have a committee called the Youth Justice Committee. So we've done a lot of work around supporting the zero youth detention work. And we went in to tour the new youth jail when it was built and talking about what does a zero youth detention plan truly look like, and not having young people in jail. What does that look like? So we've been a part of that process as well. So that's really exciting. And then another thing that that I've been a part of with the Children Youth Advisory Board is the Young Leaders Committee, who's hosting the workshop tomorrow. So the Young Leaders Committee was created because, like I mentioned, when young people joined this board, it was very difficult. Like for me personally, it was difficult to be in a space full of people that were already doing the policy work and had the knowledge of the field and things like that. For me as a young person to go in and say, this is what young people need. So those meetings were very difficult. So as young people, as more and more young people were joining on in the past couple of years, we decided to create a space for just us. So we have a committee just for the young people to say, okay, how do we prepare for these meetings? How do we get better context about what's happening? That way we could be better informed, and then actually do the holding the county accountable part of what the board is supposed to do. So yeah, there's lots of different layers to the work that the CYAB does, and it evolves over time. It's based on whatever is happening in the county and around children and youth. So it's been really exciting.
Once again, this is Tony B. This is the Best Starts for Kids virtual summit. My guest is Hikma Shirka, young leaders of the King County Children and Youth Advisory Board. And maybe you can share with us an overall picture, or maybe you might just say, one youth that you can think about and say how. But what I want to know is how has this opportunity impacted the youth? And again, it may just be one story that you can think about, that you can know, wow, this was a change, or just overall how this program has impacted the youth who've become engaged.
I think, well, first of all, I think I'm a product of that.
Okay.
As a young person who joined very early on, very confused about what I was doing, I had to really push agendas and push people and ask lots of really difficult questions. And there were other people, obviously, that were a part of that process, other young people. So for me, one person that I think of is Sophie, who joined the board around the same time. And she's actually one of the only other person that got on the first round that's still here. And she has been someone that has truly shaped the Young Leaders Committee with me, and has pushed us to really think about what does it look like for young people to have a say in decisions that are impacting us. So there is money going out to young people. What does it mean for us to be engaged in that process, in holding the county accountable, or in advising the county on what to do? So as young people, it's really powerful for us to be part of that decision. And that really took us stepping into our power, I think, and us questioning systems and the way that things were already, because it's very rare for young people to be on government boards. So yeah, I think she's someone I think of that has really changed the board, and also has evolved with it and has pushed the board a lot.
All right, Reginald and Jessica will be coming up here in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, but I want to give you about a minute. If you want to tell us about tomorrow, what's going on, or